After raising over $2 million from Kickstarter alone, PuffPals, this adorable farming game, has been raising many eyebrows. From questions about whether it's a scam or not, to backers asking for refunds and losing hope for it, plus many more accusations, it's sad to see this cute game get all this backlash. So I'm gonna go through everything that PuffPals development has went through so you are up to date over everything. So the PuffPals Kickstarter campaign project launched on April 7th, 2022. The stretch goals were quickly reached one after the other because of the overwhelming support from backers. Some tiers were only for support starting at $1. Other tiers allowed backers to play early access when it's out, and some tiers gave backers the promise to play alpha when it's ready. There was even a $5,000 tier, which is freaking crazy. Anyway, the developers unlocked the arcade, switchport, new biomes and locations, and multiplayer, and even crossed their last stretch goal, ending the campaign on May 7th, 2022. From there, and with over $2.5 million in their pocket, it was time to get to work. A new website was made and surveys were sent for backers. Fluffnest, the developer of PuffPals, kept open communication with their backers during this time, and they made sure to update them multiple times a month about what is happening behind the scenes. They even opened up a Discord and hosted a few streams and more. By May 17, 2023, everything was still on track. Kickstarter plushies were being sent and the alpha release was set to late summer. In June 2023, the devs announced a new secret shop that was launching that same month. The shop was opened, and after June 30th, we see no updates until September 20, 2023. There was a backers-only post that was made announcing that a stream will be posted that same week to reveal the date of the Alpha 1.0 release. On September 22nd, we can see that the Alpha 1.0 was releasing on October 31st. So the Alpha was gonna come out in fall rather than late summer, but it's not that much of a big deal, and this is something to be expected when developers are working on a project. Plus, don't forget that this is Fluffnest's first game ever. Anyway, the devs wanted to clear things out of the way. They said that this date is later than planned, but we couldn't be more excited and nervous to welcome you into the first test. As for the explanation to why there was a delay, they said, typically we'd be all for your feedback as early as possible, even if things are rough around the edges. But here's the twist. The FTUE, first time user experience, isn't yet in line with our vision. Because it's such a critical part of the first test, it's the main thing we're hoping to get feedback on, we've decided to do one more revision. The version you test needs to start off in the direction of our overall vision to ensure the feedback we receive is as relevant as possible. Therefore, we'll use this time to revise how we introduce the world and mechanics to the game. They explained a little bit more about the process and their revised time plan to tackle the issue. And from there, we see consistent updates until the October release of the Alpha 1.0. Then an alpha patch was rolled out, as well as a thank you for people who participated in Alpha 1 in October 17, 2023. After that, nothing is announced until December 27, 2023, where the devs post, "We want to release content in larger batches, so we can design the content more cohesively. We estimate the first batch will be ready in the second quarter of 2024. They also show the rough estimates of the 2024 map. In the roadmap, we mostly see features that will be worked on, with no promise of an early access date. In February 2024, Alpha 1.3 arrives, plus max support. Then, in March 2024, we see that Alpha 1.3 feedback surveys are closing. After that, it is complete silence until August 2024. This was quite a big chunk of the year where the devs are just nowhere to be found. During this time, backers started to get worried, and we also see this Reddit post go live. Is PuffPals Island Skies a scam? Not sure if this is the correct forum to be posting this, but I thought it would work since it's a cozy game. Anyways, I really want to play PuffPals Island Skies. I haven't wanted to play a game this badly since Dreamlight Valley was previewed. I know the game isn't finished at all, and that if I brought it, I'd be playtesting it, and this doesn't bother me. I've played unfinished games before, and it doesn't bother me playing something that isn't finished. I know it bothers some people, but I like seeing games grow. I will only have to pay for the game once, as it promises it will give you the finished game when it is finally released. I only want to know if this is a scam. Has the game been abandoned? Because its Reddit definitely has been. It looks like on the website it's getting regular updates, but I just want to be sure. Has anyone here bought it already, and is it a scam to purchase? Sorry for the long post. I think this question is totally fair. I would rather have someone go to Reddit or any other place and ask if a game is a scam rather than them fall into one and there's just no backing out of it. However, the thing is, the comments were a bit mixed on this. Now, I assume this user was wondering about the new tiers that were opened up on the PuffPals website after the Kickstarter. So these ones were made for people who missed out on Kickstarter, and I'm not sure how much more money was made through this side of buying more tiers of the game. So in the post, we see comments like this: "I wouldn't buy it. This appears to be the alpha test forum," and they link to the forum. Then they add a bunch of people saying the game doesn't even launch anymore, and someone mentions the alpha tester Discord has had no updates from devs either. Another user said, "I didn't even get the art book I ordered, it's been years." To which someone responded, "Yeah, the backer Discord feels like more of a platform for them to sell plushies, which personally I refuse to buy. I shouldn't be prompted with an advert for a discount off their plushies when I click a link in the Discord to look at the devlog. I also backed the game because it looked very cute. The Kickstarter was closed, but they advertised the game a bunch and you were able to buy access to alpha. After 3 months of trying to contact them in order to get access to the Discord, it all started to feel incredibly shady or mismanaged. I made a Reddit post about it back then and got downvoted to hell, and was also told that purchasing alpha didn't mean you get access to the Discord. They were wrong though, and after months of silence, I finally got a response and my role in Discord finally got updated." Now, I have seen a fair share of toxic positivity syndrome driven comments about this game where people will wear rose-colored glasses and they refuse to allow anyone the space to question anything, and I find it very funny, especially in the cozy gaming genre where we're just supposed to be more chill and relaxed, and if you stray a little bit off the norm or the path, people will come out for you. So I'm inclined to believe what this user is saying, and I think that in their case, they're literally asking, why did I not get one of the things that I've paid for, which is access to the Discord. So I think they have the right to ask for what they paid for, no? Anyways, someone else posted, "It's not a scam, it's their first game to develop, and I went on Discord and asked why there hasn't been any updates in a while, but still no excuse to stop communicating with the backers. They need someone to manage the Kickstarter page to keep everyone updated." So people had to ask, hey, is this game a scam? We want to know. There was a bit of discourse in the comments about whether the game is a scam or not. It is not a scam. If it was, the devs would never issue any refunds. And as we go through this video, you're gonna see that refunds are being secured. So someone who's scamming you is never gonna give you a refund for what you paid. Now, after this, around August, before the devs posted an update, another user on Reddit posted the following: "PuffPal Island Skies 5 months without updates. I've been keeping up with PuffPal's Island Skies for a long time. It's probably one of the best looking cozy type games that is coming out. But recently, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on. The website, at least for me, has been broken since they last updated it with their roadmap. The alpha seems broken, a ton of people couldn't get into the game after buying it, according to their alpha playtest. It just gives them a black screen but doesn't launch. They recently changed their purchase for the alpha to out of stock, but still haven't updated anyone on the game at all. The last update was March 6th, it's now July 9th. This is all really different from 2 updates every month to pure silence for almost 5. People on the Kickstarter have been expressing concerns." So with this post, you can see that people were starting to ask questions and wonder what is happening with all of the silence. And it's not only on Reddit, it is also found on the Kickstarter page itself. It is also a little bit of a problem because yes, alpha means that the game is nowhere near complete. However, if you cannot even launch the alpha, then there's definitely some issues that need to be addressed. And you can see the forum of the alpha where a lot of bugs were being reported. And again, that's natural, that's normal, that's how alpha works. But for you to not even be able to launch it, that is a bit not okay. Now let's see what was happening in the Kickstarter comment section, and a few stood out to me. This is just some feedback. I would appreciate more and regular updates, even if they're small. I don't know if you update more on Discord, but I personally do not want to join yet another server, so Kickstarter updates is all I have. Last update was months ago. I just looked when I last played the alpha. Also a long time ago because I found the find the code here and put it into Steam method very cumbersome. No idea if there has been another wave of playtests, again no updates anyway, or if it still works the same. But this way really just killed me wanting to jump in and do anything. The game looked very nice the 1 or 2 times I actually played it, yet not knowing of playtests and having to jump through hoops to get there did not exactly community helped me want to commit my limited time to do anything when I could just open another game without a fuss. I can totally relate to this comment. Developers these days all want you to be part of their Discord server, and while this brings up the sense of community, it is a little bit daunting and overly exhausting to just see yourself getting pinned by X, Y, and Z Discord. It's not just this Discord that you have to follow, you're gonna have to be part of so many. Apart from that, I also believe if people supported you on Kickstarter, just keep updating them on Kickstarter. Why do you have to force them to go somewhere else? Otherwise, they're just not part of the group. And in all cases, my friend Noodle, who is a backer and has access to that Discord, told me that there really wasn't that many updates apart from what you have been seeing on the Kickstarter itself. So I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but they were talking a lot and not silent on the Discord. Not true, because he is in there and he told me that when there were silences here, there were silences there. Another comment said, we all appreciate the time and effort it must take to design and create a game as lovely as PuffPals. And I'm sure very few of us truly understand how difficult it must be to make the game, but we really do deserve more updates. As backers, we are effectively investors. In any other setting, investors would be included in the process of the product. Obviously, we are in no position to help in the actual making of the game, but we should at least be part of the journey. It's been over 4 months and we have heard nothing from you guys. Again, we know you are all very busy, but taking 15 minutes out every 2 weeks, even to give us a rundown of what you've been up to, any problems you have had or things you have solved, color schemes, little pictures and snippets from the game so far. I don't know about others, but I'd like to feel included in this venture and not just the money source. We are all invested in this game, loved what we saw from the very beginning, and that is why we chose to back it. This will probably be another comment that will be overlooked, but I feel I needed to get this off my chest, honestly, and I know others share the same frustrations. The devs did answer these comments, but it was mostly PR responses that don't really give you much, like this one. We hear you and we appreciate your patience. We know it's been a while since our last update and we're sorry for any frustration this might have caused. Our team has been busy behind the scenes, making sure that everything we bring to you is as magical as can be. We're working on improving our communication to keep you better informed and more involved. Thank you for sticking with us. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to share all the exciting things we've been working on. So the reason why I chose these 2 comments on the Kickstarter from the backers is because I felt like they're very well spoken and they were more on the calm side. They're just expressing their frustration and their worries, which is completely to be understood when, as the last user said, they are investors and they feel like they should be included in the development process. And there were also a lot of people who were very frustrated with the way that Fluffnest was dealing with the responses. It felt very robotic, so everyone was saying like, oh, we're tired of you using the same, type of reply. It feels like a robot is talking to us, which is again something that I could totally understand as an investor in a game. If you feel like the developer is just not really answering you, they're just giving you these, little washed out kind of PR responses, you're like, is this even a human talking to me right now? It's completely understandable. And with that being said, Fluffnest actually did realize that there is a lot of damage that is happening, so they tried to do a bit of control and they posted an update finally after many months. They said, you may have noticed that we've been a bit quieter than usual. We've been doing work behind the curtains, making sure we're on the right track and refining our plans. While we may not have updates as frequently as before, we want to assure you that progress is being made. Although some details are still being finalized, we're excited about the direction we're headed and we're committed to sharing important milestones with you. Thank you for always having our back, and we can't wait to show you what's next. So the promise they made at the end of 2023 was broken, but they tried to redeem themselves and they put out a heartfelt apology, which I always love to see. And then they also celebrated their community and shared a bit more about what has been happening behind the scenes. And I think that that is actually good for them to do rather than just stay silent and letting people just come up with speculations and, thinking about stuff, and rumors pass by very quickly. So it's good that they tried to do a bit of damage control. They also posted a backer-only post on August 15th, which we cannot see unless we are part of that group. And September 2024 is followed by another update of what the team has been creating. Now, remember the Reddit post that I last shared with you? Even after the August update, we still got more and more backers coming in and talking, and this happened after the update. Okay, so it's not like they didn't read it. They read it, and this is what they had to say. I'm incredibly disappointed that every time I check in with this game, it's basically the same. Either no responses from them at all, or copy and pasted ones. I regret backing the project, especially because I backed at the tier to get it for PC and the eventual Switch port, which might as well be money in the abyss now. There's no excuse to not be providing regular updates, and at this rate it reads as deliberate evasion of the issue to not give a real response to concerns. Seeing that early access is gonna be this year with the horrendous alpha is very concerning. I'm wondering if they would consider refunding. We can also see posts about the lack of communication, which again is very understandable. So this one says, it's a shame since they made so much money off of this Kickstarter, like over $2 million. You'd think that with that kind of funding that they'd be able to respond more and offer more insight on what they're doing. I don't regret backing the game since I am a long-term Fluffnest fan, but I wish they'd at least communicate with us all. I don't think the backers were asking for too much. I don't think they're just being whiny or stuff like that. And the thing is, there's a fine line with, okay, like, why are the backers being so impatient? But then also you can say, why are the developers just not really saying much? So it is like a very weird situation that was happening around this timeline. But in a nutshell, I don't think that the backers were asking for too much. You are an investor in a project, you deserve to at least know what the frick is going on behind the scenes. And this slowly becomes even worse because we see an even deadlier silence up until December, where the devs said, we're gonna update you on this, but we're gonna give you more information in February. So let's see what they said. We know you've been eager to hear more about Island Skies, and we appreciate your patience as we've been navigating important internal changes. First, the game is still coming. This has set us back, but we expect to be able to maintain our original timeline within a few months. Following issues at the start of this year, it became clear that we needed to change how our team works. Part of this process was adjusting our contracts with the people working on the game to empower them beyond what their current contract supports. In the previous form of the contract, roles and deliverables were too specifically outlined, exposing team members to legal risk if they go outside or beyond their mandate, which for obvious reasons can introduce inefficiencies. However, changes like this often involve legal hoops to jump through and boxes to check. This process is taking much longer than initially anticipated, and our current contract limits our ability to share anything until things are final. Whether it's content produced for the game, details about the reorganization process, or updates to the alpha build. Watching the frustration of the community without being able to communicate what's happening has been the most difficult part of making Island Skies so far. So the devs definitely felt the frustration of everyone. It's not like people were just being over dramatic. They can tell, like, okay, obviously we need to be updating more, but sadly our hands are tied and we can't do much. And once the devs made this post, of course people are gonna research, and they started to dig up some stuff. So they found this trademark of PuffPals Island Skies, which apparently showed that it was abandoned. So some of them thought that the game itself might be abandoned, which we saw, like, yeah, it's not abandoned. And we also saw this fidget company in China, which has the name PuffPals, was founded instead. Backers also started to ask for refunds, and I'm only showing you a handful right now. There were a lot more requests for refund, and more discourse about the state of the game started to take place. People were very frustrated, so again they went back to the Kickstarter campaign and they started to post more comments, especially addressing that they feel like there's no transparency. So we have this one. With the absolute lack of accountability and the shady lack of transparency, at what point does the team end up providing the backers who paid them well over $2.5 million for a game that in 3 years doesn't even have a solid release date yet? A refund of at least 50% on the original prices paid. This is astoundingly inept. When can backers of this project, especially ones who backed for alpha access, expect to start receiving open and honest communication about the development of this project? For over 6 months, we've been told we're working on improving our communication to keep you better informed and more involved. That is entirely too long to wait on information about this game. It doesn't uphold the standard we agreed to when we backed the project, and it doesn't foster a sense of trust or reliability on the team that is developing this game. There needs to be accountability and transparency. So as you can see, people are getting very frustrated, and of course Fluffnest is not blind. They're seeing what's happening, and they finally made their post on February to explain a bit more about about what has been happening. We'll be sharing the Alpha 2 date and more detailed information about this update soon. We appreciate your patience as we get everything prepped and ready. When it comes to the Alpha access, the timeline forward will depend on the feedback we receive from Alpha 2, so we'll need to see how that goes first. The same logic applies to the full release, as we'll need to see how both Alpha 2 and Early Access are received before we can commit to specific dates. And this, of course, made people angry once again. They already have been telling the devs, hey, tell us more. When is the release date? What can we know? And for Fluffnest to come and say like, oh, we don't know, we'll let you know later, it just poured a bit more salt to the wound, and people took to Kickstarter and Reddit once again to express their frustration. February 27th came, and the devs finally had something to say, and something that is actually good enough. But before we get into that, hello, you gorgeous human being, it's Miss Bubbles. If this video has been helpful and it has been showing you the development shakes and craziness of this beautiful and cute game, consider supporting me on Ko-fi or becoming a YouTube member or Patreon. All of the links are down below, and this helps me keep making these videos for you and giving you transparent and just coverage about things that are happening that you should probably know about. Or consider squishing the like and subscribe buttons. That will help YouTube push the video towards more people so more can know about what is happening in PuffPals. So the update opened with, we want to start by apologizing for the long gaps in communication, and we take full responsibility for the frustration it has caused. We're very sorry for causing you any distress. While there were external factors that prevented us from sharing information earlier, we recognize how much this has impacted trust in the project and led to uncertainty within the Island Skies community. We truly appreciate your patience as we navigate this project. They also followed by, what is the current state of the game? Up until now, we were restricted from providing updates to the community. That period has come to an end, and we are excited to summarize some of the changes we've been working on. We had hoped to have an alpha build ready alongside the lift of the information embargo, but that did not happen. Instead, we will summarize the changes here and will bring you more information as we get closer to Alpha 2's launch. They also announced the biggest change that we're going to be seeing, which is Island Skies is migrating from Unity's game engine to Unreal Engine for many small reasons. Unity's payment model change did not factor into this decision, and this change has improved performance and made development move more quickly. This process started in December 2024 and is currently in progress. The update also included that Alpha 2 will be available in 6 to 8 weeks from the date that the post was made, which is February 7th, 2025 right now. This is when the update was made. And they said that they are targeting early access to go live mid to late 2025, with a full release in the end of 2025 to 2026, depending on how alpha and early access go. They also carry on to explain that they are happy to offer refunds. As for the legal speculations that people were talking about and trademarks and stuff like that, here's what they have to say. There are currently no outstanding legal issues that could disrupt Island Skies development or release. Late last year, the entity under which Fluffnest's physical goods business operates was the target of a lawsuit that pertained to a standard business loan for Fluffnest's holiday inventory financing. The lawsuit arose in part due to a banking issue and has since been settled. It was unrelated to Island Skies game development and did not at any point have the potential to impact the game's funding or development. And there were some speculation about like, oh, did they run out of money and stuff like that? I just didn't include it, but they still replied to it. So if there wasn't like enough people asking stuff like this, they would not be mentioning these in the update. So I don't want people to go in the comments and be like, oh, but people are being whiny and stuff like that. Obviously, if the company has to address certain things, it means that enough people, like an enough amount of people has been speculating about these stuff. So anyways, here's what they had to say. There are no outstanding financial issues that would impact Island Skies development or release. Funding has never been a concern for the game's development, and we've been very intentional about how we managed finances to ensure that Island Skies remains secure. The way we've structured things has fully protected the game from risk or litigation up to this point, and we're confident in that approach. So I don't know about you, but I feel like it's good that they can finally talk about everything that has been happening, and hopefully that they can slowly rebuild their trust with their community. But this brings us to something that is very important to discuss, that I always try to discuss whenever I get the chance to. I even talked about it in the Farm Folks video. If you didn't watch that, definitely do, which is Kickstarter campaigns. we need to talk about them. From the developer's side, I can't imagine how stressful dealing with lawyers and NDAs is, and I know that these will tie the hands of developers, and it's gonna make it very hard for them to communicate at times, even if they really want to. So with that in mind, it is worth noting that sometimes backers just need to have a little bit more patience. But I also know that as a backer, it is frustrating to pay money and not know where it went, and this circles back to the fact that, okay, the devs just need to communicate more openly. But in this case, we can actually see why the devs couldn't communicate as much as they wanted to. But apart from that, and most importantly, I will say this over and over again, I'm gonna die on this hill: do not support any Kickstarter unless you're okay with the fact that the money that you are paying might never see the light of day. If you have the disposable cash, do it. If you don't, just don't. Just pay that money towards a game that is fully released instead, you know. A few of you reached out to me on Twitter DMs and commented on my videos asking me to cover PuffPals. I just wanted to wait until everything plays out and see how it goes. I also posted a community post on my channel asking you if you are worried about PuffPals. Over 800 of you voted. 77% showed that you are concerned about its development, while 23% said there is nothing to worry about. And I've said this time and time again, Kickstarter does not guarantee that a project is gonna come out. Kickstarter is not even responsible for refunds. The creator of the campaign is responsible for their refunds. If you don't do enough research, a creator that you support might be scamming you and they will run away with it. Thankfully, Fluffnest is not a scammer. They are giving refunds, but that's not the case for every single creator who set up a Kickstarter campaign. Now, moving forward, all I say is I hope developers are also a bit more careful with the contracts they are signing and that they remember to put their supporters first, so cases like this can be avoided. But also, I would say to backers, be patient, you know, do your research, just have a little bit of grace, and hopefully the game that you're supporting will finally come to release. I will be keeping an eye on PuffPals to see what happens, and I really wish all the best to the developers. They seem like they're very passionate about their project, so I would love to see its full release. And while we wait for this to unfold, there was another Kickstarter that was very shaky that I talked about a couple of weeks ago that you should definitely check out. It's called Farm Folks, and you can watch it here. Thank you to my Patreon and YouTube bubblies who make videos like this possible, and a shout out goes to the Game Dimension, Jake Logan, and Stephanie for going the extra mile. Until next time, stay bubbly.